game, everyone. This is Rich Ramon, and you're listening to Still Toking With. Yeah.
Greetings, my friend. This is the brain of TV's Pinky in the Brain. Yes, and my human avatar, Maurice LaMarche.
Hi, it's Chris Poland, and you're listening to Still Toking With.
Hey, this is Eric Roland, voice of Kendo Rappa on My Hero Academia, and host of the Tough Love Podcast. You're listening to Still Toking With on the Dorkening Podcast Network.
My crew is ready to obtain the absolution, removing any doubt that we was ever fooling.
What's happening, everybody? Did you miss us? Bullshit, you didn't miss us. But that's okay, because it was a much-needed vacation for us. I'm very excited about tonight's show for multiple reasons. The gentleman that we have on is a real OG. Been doing what he's been doing for quite a long fucking time. But he's also one of the reasons why 7 seasons later we're still doing this show. He was one of our first guests in season 1. I believe it was the third episode. What a shitty season we had, man. We knew nothing about any of this shit. Long story short, he agreed to come back all these years later because he's been kicking ass for many years. And I'm just really excited to catch up with him. I mean, he's one of a kind. I'm going to leave it right there because I have to introduce my counterpart in the shenanigans this evening, the flashy one, as always, Mr. Jeffrey Mark.
Good evening. Yes, I missed us being here too while you were on vacation and being with your family and all that good stuff. So welcome back, everybody. I wasn't around for season 1, but I am around for now, and I am thrilled. We got somebody, this is going to be an hour of fun. This guy is a comic. He's a voiceover artist. He's a comic book artist. He's an actor. He's a promoter. He's nuts. And he's going to bring that nuts to our show. Please welcome to our stage the 420 comic, Jeffrey Peterson. And open up your mic, Jeffrey. There you go.
Yeah, your mic's muted.
There we go. It's unmuted now. All right.
See, and that's part of this fucking comedy act, folks.
Well, there you go. And the last thing you want to do is mute a comic, right? That's
right.
That's just like, that's an oxymoron. But welcome from fabulous Las Vegas, you guys, where the earth is melting, but we have a pool, so we're happy. We have pot and a pool, so that's the most important.
Yeah, it's like 500 degrees out here in Palm Springs today.
Awesome. But you have a pool there too, right? Correct?
Not
It's
in my
called the
immediate
bathtub.
backyard.
That's essential. AC and a pool are like the tools that help you survive in the desert. But of course, you know, I live in a fantasy land over here. It's an amusement park. I can step in and out of anytime I want, and it's been a blast lately. You know, I'm a celebrity impressionist, and lately I've been hanging out with Rich Little. That's been fun. I've been down to catching his show. Oh, he's just so great. He brought me up to do impressions with him, and that was a thrill of my life. So
yeah, Rich is a friend, and boy, is he talented.
Oh man, he's just such a great guy too, and very very affable person. But you know, that's most Canadians are like that, and he's just a really cool guy. He's a legend. You know, I the room he's working at the Horseshoe Casino used to be Bally's, and I was there 5 nights a week in Carl LeBeau's show Stripped. So I worked with the great Carl LeBeau and Alan Steven, and we followed Wayne Newton 3 nights a week. So, you know, I love working with these legendary guys. It's the best.
Right.
Yeah, Rich's daughter lives out here near me.
Oh, okay. Well, he's just, you know, he stepped back and couldn't believe some of the voices that came out of someone that looks like they're from Sons of Anarchy. But when I broke out my Casey Kasem, he just couldn't believe it. When I said, you know what, Rich? The year 1983. The band, Dexy's Midnight Runners. The song, Come On Eileen. he got a big kick out of it.
I have to arrange for you to do that for Gene Kasem. She'd love it.
That would be great. Yeah. I've met Gene Kaysen before, and I worked with the great Fraser Smith from KLOS. So I got to do, for years, I did celebrity voices on there, and people didn't know. They thought Gary Busey was really calling in, but they didn't know it wasn't Gary Busey at all. It was a figment of their imagination. So, but I love
giving Gary way too much intelligence in that impression.
Oh, let me tell you, Jeffrey, he is a sharp tool. Gary is not to be underestimated, and I'll tell you why. For years on Fraser Smith's show, I would do James Gandolfini, I would do Ozzy, I would do Ice-T, and I would do McConaughey, all kinds of people. Well, Busey was like a mainstay. And for years, many years on his podcast and on KLOS, people thought Fraser was very good friends with Gary Busey. He'd never met him. So I tried the Mandela effect. I contacted Gary Busey as one of the producers and said, we'd love to have you in the studio. You're always great when you're on the show. And thinking we're fooling him, right? And he said, you send me a limo to my house in Malibu and I'll be on the show. We sent a limo. Fraser had him on the show. At the second break, Gary turned to Fraser and said, Jeffrey Peterson is the best Gary Busey impressionist in the world. There's nobody better. He knew the whole time who I was and who was doing his voice. He's not as dumb as I thought he was. You would think he is. He's not at all. So Gary Busey, cheers.
Yeah, I have worked with Gary on charity work, and
right.
I'm glad
he's an interesting guy.
I'm glad you had a good time with him.
I've never met him personally, but I've been around people that know him, and they said, you're frightening me because you sound so much like him. But yeah, I do.
I have a curiosity.
Sure.
The 420 comic. So in case any of our friends and fans out there don't know, 420 is a wink, wink about marijuana and smoking marijuana.
Right.
Because that was the number in the books, the police books. If you got booked for marijuana, 420 in the books was how it got there. Anyway,
I thought that's what time they eat donuts.
I've been doing stand-up since the 70s. Getting stoned and doing stand-up, it was almost the same thing when I was first getting started. How did you figure out to sort of give yourself that 420 patina as your hook?
Oh, it's very interesting, and I've told this story many times. I used to be a singer in a heavy metal band on the Sunset Strip for years, and we very successfully we were headliners, and we had in the era of metal we had labels ready to sign us, but things changed. The grunge era came in, and then I joined another band in the rap metal era, and we got very popular. But after years of near success, I was told by so many people between songs how funny I am. Why don't you do stand up? And I was like, okay, maybe this is a way for me to still be a performer and not deal with the drummer bitching about something. So I tried stand up, and I got a job as the doorman at the Ice House Comedy Club, America's oldest comedy club. And much to my chagrin, they didn't care that I was a comedian. Unlike the Comedy Store, where you have to be a comedian. At the Ice House, they were like, we could give a shit, just watch the door. But when I started, I thought of being like Jerry Seinfeld, kind of clean. But my mentor, I met Vic Dunlop, who was from The Gong Show and Make Me Laugh. Vic was, the funniest human I've ever met. He told me, I don't know why you're pretending to be something you're not. You're a huge stoner. You should just be that guy. So that was part of it. And then, and Vic kind of got me on that little bit of a tip rolling. But when I met George Lopez, what happened was I met him when I was in a metal band, and I was LA famous and he was LA famous. We weren't famous because he would headline the Laugh Factory and I would headline the Whiskey or something like that. So we were we were both, you know, LA famous. 10 years later, in 2003, I re-met up with George, and he said to me, "That's great. You're a comedian. What kind of comedian are you?" And I said, "I'm figuring that out." And he told me, "You need to be a pot comic. You need to be." He goes, "Because you're the biggest pothead I know." And he goes, "If someday Cheech and Chong will need to hand that mantle to somebody," he goes, "you could be that guy." And he goes, "But you got to stick to it like forever." So my other influence was the unknown comic, who I've become very good friends with.
Murray is
one of my mentors. Yeah, Murray is a comic genius, probably the best one-liner in history, and one-liner comic in history. And he, I took a note from him by pigeonholing myself as the 420 comic, and everyone immediately was like, "You're so stupid. You're never gonna get gigs. You're gonna like just put yourself in a corner." And so for quite a few years at the beginning, people were like, "You're like, you should really drop that." And I was like, "No, I'm gonna stick to it." And I started doing things other comics didn't, like playing conventions and doing festivals, that, you know, taking it back to the 70s, opening for rock bands that nobody dared open for. They thought I was crazy. A lot of famous hip hop bands. And so I kind of cornered that, like that nobody was really doing that. And I was like, "Hey, here's a market." And it was a good friend of mine, Johnny Sanchez from Mad TV, said to me one time, he said, "You know, the good thing about you calling yourself the 420 comic," he goes, "a lot of people might not know Jeffrey Peterson, but a lot of people know who the 420 comic is, even if they don't know what you look like. They've heard of you." And I'm like, wow, and you know, that kind of thing. It's so interesting, you guys, because I was doing a gig in 2013 with Louis Anderson at the Plaza, and I got the opportunity to headline because my buddy Warren Durso, he was out of town, and he said, you know, headline my show. So I headlined the Plaza. The show following us was Louis Anderson. And Louis Anderson came up to me. I've never met Louis Anderson at this point. And he said, "You know, if I knew the 420 comic was here, I wouldn't have done so many pot jokes." And I was like, "You know who I am?" And he goes, I didn't say that to him, but I just in my head. And I immediately said to him, "Don't worry, Louis, I'm going to do a bunch of buffet jokes when I go up." So, and he got a kick out of that. You got to be quick with these old timies. You know, I worked with Rip Taylor. I've worked with Bruce Baum. You know, I've worked with the legends.
Jeffrey, it's amazing we've never met in person. We have so many friends.
I know. I'm surprised we haven't.
I dress the way I dress because of Rip Taylor. It was Rip Taylor's idea. See, that's my hook, all the sequins. And
he was, you know, he's such a gracious person. What a great guy he was. I mean, I did a pot event on 420 with him, and he introduced me. I mean, I've been so fortunate. You know, I may not have a lifestyle that looks like I have a huge bank account, but man, if experiences were money, nothing can beat my life. I mean, right. I got introduced in New Orleans by John Sinclair. I mean, he brought me up on stage, you know, like I've had, you know, I got invited to Tommy Chong's 80th birthday. I mean, whatever impact that's been made, it satisfies me personally. I feel like, wow, what a life I've had, you know?
Right.
I have a question. We talked about this off camera. We talk among ourselves before the show starts. Now, I'm a recovery person. Marijuana was my foundation of my life when I was young.
Yeah.
I only worked stoned once. At a nightclub in Greenwich Village in New York City.
Wow.
In the late 70s.
Exciting.
It's exciting, except you know what? When I was writing comedy and doing stuff at home stoned, I came up with brilliant stuff.
Right.
But I soberly had to edit what I wrote to make it understandable. And I tried to get up there and do it. And what I found was that I was so much in my own head being stoned.
Overthinking.
Overthinking. Yep. I wasn't feeling the audience's energy. I wasn't reacting to them. I was reacting to me. I might as well have been at home by myself. And I never worked stoned again. How do you do it and relate to the audience? Because I couldn't do that.
Well, I can say this. According to my girlfriend, some of my best sets have been at home. She's definitely said that. She's been like, oh my God, that shit you were doing the other day was fucking hilarious. And I couldn't redo it on stage. I mean, but to answer that, I've always been one of those guys that gets stoned on the way to get stoned. I got high all throughout high school. I was in a Christian heavy metal band and we smoked pot and sang about it, and people thought we were like, what? And we're like, so I've always liked pot since like 8th grade. Now, when it came to doing comedy, I built this persona that I had to live up to, but it wasn't hard because it was real. I mean, I love smoking pot.
You're the real thing. You're absolutely real.
So I've had that tested to me numerous times. Like a club like the Southwest Cannabis Club in Portland, where you could, it was a cannabis bar. People would interrupt me in the middle of my set, dude, do a dab right now, and try to throw me off my game. And it would I'd be like, if you want to keep wasting pot on me, go ahead. I'll do a dab between every third joke because I love smoking pot. So you're not gonna. I'm a professional on the high wire. I can do this. I used to have a show when I hosted HempCon, and I had a game show called Last Stoner Standing. And I know I can do this, and I know other people that, Stoner Rob can do this, and Tommy Chong can do this, and other friends of mine are pros at this. But not everybody is. So I would play this game show where I would take comedians and I would get them stoned. Now someone has a show that kind of copied me, but I would get them stoned and then put them through the paces. And one of the paces was to tell jokes, and because a lot of comedians have never done that. And a lot of them failed. They were like, I mean, I've seen famous comedians. I saw Joey Coco Diaz once, so stoned. He was like, I can't remember what the fuck I was saying. Oh my God, I shouldn't have ate that fucking brownie. What the hell was that shit? I forgot my act. I forgot my fucking act. I've seen people disintegrate. The Lucas Brothers Moving, the famous animated series that depicted the Lucas Brothers as stoners on the show. Well, when I lived in Denver, they were headlining a show on 420, and this was like, I think 2015, and they came to Denver. They're from New York. They got so high when they got there, they canceled their show by 420. They canceled it for the night. They said they can't do it. They canceled it. And the next day, and people were pissed. They wanted their money back. The next day, they went to Mutiny Information Cafe to do kind of a meet and greet to kind of address it. And I sat down with them and I said, why are you guys pretending to be stoners? I said, there's people like me that take this seriously. I mean, this is a genre for us. This is something that we don't just pretend. It's not something that we want to fit a mold by being a poser. We're not. It's real to us. Seth Rogen.
Back when we'll get to Seth Rogen. Back when I was young, so many of the people I came up with were working stoned. They didn't tell the audience they were working stoned. They just went out and did it. And they would be backstage getting high before they're going on. I couldn't do it. But I did get to watch a lot of very funny people fail because they were stoned.
Yeah.
And a lot of funny people do better because they were stoned.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it relaxes you. For me, I do a lot of one-liners and kind of high energy impressions. So I've got and when I do my show, my one-man show, Impression Impossible, I do 77 celebrity impressions. So your mind has to be very, in tune. You know what I mean? You can't drift. You've got to use the cannabis to be your catalyst, and you can't space off in any way, because you'll lose people. Then and also too, they'll go, wow, you're like, you can't do this high. You know what I mean? Because I just helped my friend Lana Turner, the widow of Ralphie May. She has a documentary. And one of the things that happened also in Colorado was Ralphie May got up on stage, and he claimed to be a big stoner. And he got up on stage, and in the middle of his set, he said, "I'm too high right now. I don't even feel like telling jokes. I'm gonna go back to my hotel room." And he walked off stage. 20 minutes into his set. So I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't imagine cheating an audience, first of all, but also too, this is a really funny world. We've got people now claiming that have scromiting, the pot makes you vomit. We have a term we use in the cannabis world for people like that. We call them pussies. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, you're throwing up from pot? Well, how about this? Don't smoke it then. And definitely don't smoke it around me, because you throw up in my bong, I'm going to be pissed. But, oh my God, like, people, oh God, how about this too? Like, I mean, I've seen celebrities say this, the potency of marijuana today is so dangerous. It's not like the pot in the 70s. It's deadly. It could get you so, like, just, why don't you go lay down and take a nap, you weirdo? Like, what's wrong with you?
Look, he's getting all excited. He's dropping his phone and shit. Yeah, you muted yourself again.
Oh my God.
See, we're not muting him tonight, folks. He's muting himself. So no. you brought up a friend of mine was Stoner Rob.
Yeah.
So
yep.
Rob's actually been on the show. He was on the show for an interview, but on New Year's Eve, we'd like to bring people back for like 15-minute updates, and he came back on a New Year's Eve. But next time you see him, just ask him, say, "Hey, I heard you did a show in Greenfield, Massachusetts."
Yeah,
and just see what he says.
I will definitely do that. The thing is, Rob was one of my proteges. I mean, I knew him when he was, Robert Martinez, and
yep.
and he came to me, and he and Medicinal Michael, who was just running for Congress out here, they both came to me and said, "I saw what you did with your name. I'm going to change my name to Stoner Rob, and I'm going to change my name to." So it kind of started a little bit of a trend, and right. These guys used to be my opening act and stuff, and so I think it's cool. There's strengths in numbers. There's more,
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this: I was born in Manchester, Connecticut. I'm a New Englander in my soul. I still, to this day, Boston Freedom Rally. How have you never booked me once? I do not. When the King of Pot was alive, Michael L. Malta, my dear friend, he back in 2012 he passed away. But for years they said they were going to book me there to be the host, and it's like I'm from New England. You guys don't even, you don't want me, to host. So that perplexes me, Ben. I'm as a New Englander, I'm like, I feel like Jesus. Like, they don't want me in Nazareth.
Listen, you saw what we started with, like how we started with the first comic book that we did.
Yep.
That's how far back we go, and we've only been invited once.
Yeah, it is weird.
And I live fucking 30 minutes from there. The problem behind the problem behind a lot of what I see is not just with the Freedom Rally, but with a lot of places is they don't want to spend the money to have people there.
That's true.
Even if you're a draw, and I mean, right. you're a draw in the New England area. We're a huge draw in the New England area. Mr. Mark's a huge draw out in the California area. They just, sometimes it's like, I'd rather spend $180,000 and have Cheech Marin here.
Yep. Yeah, well,
So-
they do that. They try to do that stuff.
Perplexes me.
Yeah, it's I've known a lot of cannabis events have, because like I said, I kind of led the charge for that years ago, and because of that, I've worked with like so many famous bands and stuff. But I've noticed a lot of these famous, a lot of these cannabis festivals, they're not being able to afford big names anymore. So they'll present it like it was, but you'll go, I don't even know who any of these people are. They're not famous. And I've always.
Do you think, Jeff, maybe because of the legalization and kind of sort of normalization of this, that being a pothead isn't as glamorous as it used to be when we were younger?
It really has to do with the Generation Z, and for a lesser part millennials, but mainly Generation Z. They don't care about pot. They don't like it. They don't. I got a drill that said, like, they keep doing just with the scromiting too. They keep having like memes and stuff, and doctors saying that teenagers are becoming addicted to cannabis, and teenagers are like, the pot is so strong. Guess what? I know a lot of teenagers. They don't smoke pot. They think it's for old people like us. So they look at it like I'm not going to smoke pot. That's what my grandfather does. They honestly don't. And even though they try to, sell it like young people, it's still a thing to them. It really is not. They prefer to do vape nicotine with flavors and pills and any other weird hallucination. They like VR stuff. They're not even having sex. Teenagers aren't even having sex. That's a fact. That is a fact. They're not even interested in sex. They figured out. First, they went from like, do I take a guy or a girl to the prom? I don't know. Do I take both? Do I take one of the other? Do I take someone in the middle? Now they're just like, I give up. I'm not even going to prom. I'm not even going to take it. I'm not going to have girlfriends or boyfriends or anything. They like young people they're not in relationships. They're
suffering from dry dick is what they're suffering.
Yeah. Well, and also too, they're just literally up here. Sex starts in the mind. They're not interested. They are. That's what I keep saying about the sex robots too.
Technology.
Yeah, the sex robots are coming. And you're gonna see people dating robots very soon. The worst part about that is, the sex robots are so realistic. They're not interested.
Yeah,
there you go. That's a great joke right there, guys. The sex robots are so realistic.
You waited.
They're not interested.
I know what I'm doing. I know how to time comedy.
Anyhow, no, people don't realize speaking of, we make fantasy comic books and stuff, and people don't realize, because I'm a huge sci-fi guy. I read a lot of Philip K. Dick and a lot of Bradbury and Ellison and great, the greats, and they predicted all this stuff, and what's crazy is people do not realize the wave, the tsunami of robots that is about to infiltrate our world. Like, they can't even fathom it yet, but very soon, in a blink of an eye, you're going to see robots everywhere. In Vegas, we already have the Zoox taxis. In LA, you have the little R2D2 delivery droids. So they're going to break out the humanoids real soon.
Pretty soon, Earth is going to be like Krypton. And look what happened to Krypton.
Exactly.
Here we go.
But see, the thing is, the thing is, though, Jeffrey, is I believe we're in a simulation, like Philip K. Dick said, and I believe that we are in a prison that is of a intelligent design by malevolent forces that are keeping us within this space. Even when Bill Nye, the science guy, who's an idiot, even says, we can't leave this system. We cannot leave this system. It's, it really is true. We're the water's above, the water's below. How about this? They just discovered recently, forget the Mariana Trench. They've gone as deep as you can in the ocean, and they said they've never found a bottom. This one guy that built this like super submarine, he's like, there may be no bottom to the ocean.
They find the same thing in Palm Springs. They can't
Yeah.
find a top anywhere. It's all bottoms. So
There you go. There you go. Well,
let's go back. Let's let Ben choke for a moment, and then let's talk about comic books, because I am such a comic book fan. And Ben and Jeff and you have produced some wonderful stuff. And then I'm an enormous Silver Age Superman fan, and an expert. I mean, in books talk about my being an expert, so I guess I am.
Yeah.
But I would love to talk about your comic book work. And I already know I don't have to ask a question. I'm giving you a topic. Go.
Oh, the topic as far as comic books go.
You and comic books.
Well, me and comic books. I have always gravitated toward really epic heroes. Conan was one of my favorites. Thor was one of my favorites. John Carter, Warlord of Mars. So I've always liked those kind of like sword slinging, tough guys in comics. Especially when you take them like a fish out of water, like the What If Conan Walked the Earth Today type thing. How that was never a movie, I don't know, but yeah. And I've always liked gaudy, over the top superhero costumes. I love superheroes. I've always, ever since, I think the first superheroes I liked were the Mighty Heroes, Ralph Bakshi's cartoon, Strong Man, and Diaper Man. When I was a kid, I really liked Diaper Man a lot.
Yes.
So then anything superhero-ish, I really like. Hong Kong Phooey. I mean, he's what an odd choice for a superhero.
You're showing your age now, sir.
Oh yeah,
well, I think we all are, because I mean, I grew up with all the same shit.
Yeah, and I come from an animation family. I was raised by lesbians in the 70s in the hood in LA, and so my Saturday mornings were like devoted to waking up super early and catching my favorite cartoons, and which they still hold up to this day. I mean, I love all of them, and but yeah, my Saturday morning was till at least like 11 or 12. I was hooked from like probably 5:30, 6 a.m. Yeah, about 6 hours each Saturday, and then I would go, and then from there around noon, I would go to the on Saturdays I would go to the newsstand in Los Angeles and get the comic books that I saved my money for that week. I'd get like 3, and me and my friend would always piss off the bookstand guy, because the newsstand guy, because we would spend about 2 hours trying to decide which ones we wanted, and we weren't allowed to open them, so it was by cover only, and we were like, gosh, oh my god, which one should I get? Oh my god. And he'd go, would you just hurry up and buy them and leave? Every Saturday, yeah. So I love comic books.
I'm older than you guys. The very first comic books that came into my life, the selling price was still 10 cents. So I go all the way back. I started reading comic books in 1960 or 61. And I got hooked. The Adventures of Superman was on every day in New York, 5 days a week. And between the TV series and the comic books, that's how I learned to read and to love reading.
Yeah, the TV series was great. The Fleischer Brothers animated stuff was just I mean, to this day, just like astounding.
People look at the Fleischer Superman stuff and don't believe that it was all drawn by hand.
Oh,
like
yeah.
They didn't have anything else back then.
Well, I came from an animation family. My aunt created Baloo the Bear for the Jungle Book, and she did the character design and worked on a lot of those Disney movies, the Aristocats and a bunch of other stuff. And then Filmation just like dominated like Saturday morning. And so when I was a kid, my 3 older brothers and I would, during the summer, we would go hang out there. So only two of us were interested, and we would stand there and watch them make Fat Albert and Tarzan and Star Trek, and we were just astounded. And then to meet Lou Scheimer, I mean, look at that. He-Man is like the #1 movie. That wouldn't happen without Filmation. That was,
Scheimer and Prescott were very, very important to the
yeah.
canon. And
Canon,
Jeff Holman, we love you. We saw the thing. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, and they were I mean, what a guy. I mean, he was putting black characters and Asian characters and Hispanic characters in cartoons way before anybody. He always included people. He was a really genuinely nice guy, and he had always had moralistic tales. So I've said this before. Filmation made me the man I am today in a way, because Sure.
Finish your thought. Go ahead.
When I turned 17, they got sick of me watching, and they said, "Here, take a pencil." So I worked on She-Ra when I was 17, one episode.
Comic book geek to comic book geek.
Yeah.
When I was young, and even when you guys were young, comic books had a canon. It had this was the world of whichever character you were reading. There came a point, first for DC, and then they all did it, where they just kept reinventing the characters. Like every 2 or 3 years, they'd throw all the canon away. And okay, now, Jimmy Olsen has red hair. Now he has black hair. Now he's gay. Now he's straight. Now he's a donkey.
Oh, yeah.
At least
Steranko's Wonder Woman. Steranko's Wonder Woman is one of the best examples.
How do you feel about that? Where they just change everything? They claim they run out of stories and they have to do this, or they have to modernize it. But I got angry. I pretty much stopped reading comic books because of that.
I'm a purist. I like, like I said, I like gaudy costumes. I like my characters to live. That's what I hate about the present Marvel movies, the Disney versions of Marvel movies, and quite a few even DC movies is, I like the costumes the way they were. I don't think you have to really, update them. They always make everything so dark to try to be realistic. They think just make it black, that'll look realistic, and it doesn't. It just looks like you're trying to blend in, and you're clearly not at all. Like you're not. I mean, they shortchanged us on so many characters. I mean, Black Widow would have looked so much better had she really had red hair and the bullet bracelets and the bullet belt and looked like and spoke like that. Spoke like, with a Russian accent. That would have been sexy. I mean, and cool. But they don't. They always what if that could have been Marvel's Twilight Zone? Had they done it correctly, it would have been like a Black Mirror. They could have gotten big celebrities and great actors to play the already published great What Ifs. What If's my favorite series from my favorite comic book series. And what they did was, because I was an animator and I was specifically worked with voice actors, they looked at their roster of people they could pay, and they said, let's write stories around them, around who we could get, not let's get great stories and bring them to life, And I agree. I mean, the first episode, you see the Watcher, he's a white guy. By the third episode, he's become black, and you're like, wait a second. Are you going to even address that? I mean, that's just weird. Don't be weird. I mean, no one has any problems with, certain stuff, but when there's so much subterfuge, there's so much sneaking stuff in that I hate. And really, the Disney game plan is to reinvent all the characters from Marvel so that Marvel doesn't own the rights anymore. So it's really Disney characters now.
And Warner Brothers with DC is pretty much doing the same thing. You're talking about the dark costumes. All right. Yep. A 6'3", incredibly muscular human being is wearing the tightest skin tight costume and tights they can wear. There is nothing realistic about that. That's the point. It is
exactly
realistic. It's
over the top. You want them to be. I mean, that's what I like about the boys. Like Homelander just steps right out there. He doesn't give a crap. I mean, I love that type of stuff. The audacity of being a superhero. You have to be, because like Watchmen really, obviously it's like one of the best ever, depictions of what, realistic comic book heroes would be like. And so like when the original Night Owl is saying, well, the bad guys were wearing costumes to try to be silly. So, hey, we thought we'd costume up too. And that's really what it is you're supposed to wear a costume that a villain would laugh at right before you knock his teeth out. There's a wonderful little bit of dialogue from one of my favorite stories of all time, for the man who has everything. It was a Superman story. And folks, all you need to know is that there's a fortress of solitude. It's located in the Arctic. It's freezing cold. And Wonder Woman, Batman, and Robin have come to help Superman celebrate his birthday. And they're trying to get inside the fortress. And Wonder Woman is wearing next to nothing. That was her costume, next to nothing. And she says to Batman and Robin, "Oh, you boys must be getting cold." And Robin turns to Batman. "She's wearing that, and we're getting cold." And Batman looks at him and says, "Superhero, and keep clean thoughts, chum." I loved that they themselves understood that they were not normal and not average, and this is a fantasy. Right. And here's something that someone brought up. You're going to dig this. The new Supergirl, which is it's people are having a hard time. Like there's nobody that loves Australian actors more than me. Trust me. Chris Lilly is, I think, the funniest person on earth. But this choice for Supergirl, she looked okay in the Superman movie, but she looks so weird in this. I haven't seen it yet, but someone pointed out, they went close up, she's got pierced ears. How on earth did those ears get pierced? You have bulletproof skin. The only thing that could pierce your ear would be kryptonite, and that would practically kill you.
If the bottle of Candor actually still existed, Kara could have gone to the bottle of Candor and gotten her ear pierced there, but it doesn't exist anymore because they killed
exactly. See, you're an expert. You would know. And the other thing too is this is my biggest gripe. This is my biggest gripe in comic book genre, like especially television. I can't believe they let Cesar Romero be the Joker for so many years with that damn mustache. Like every time I see him, every single time I see him, I go, shave that stash, you sissy. Because, he was a flaming homosexual and he didn't want to, he didn't want to shave off his mustache. I get it. You're just wrong for the part, man. We need somebody else.
He did not want to shave off his mustache because he was a flaming homosexual. He didn't want to shave off his mustache because he was Cuban, and it was a sign of masculinity.
Yeah, both of them. Both. I would say a little bit of both. I've heard things about Cesar Romero.
All the years of his career, going back to the 30s when he was a romantic star, he never shaved the mustache. He just wouldn't allow it.
Oh, I know. And that worked, when he played a sex trafficker on Vegas, that worked, but not when he's playing the Joker, right?
I thought he was marvelous as the Joker, and yes, it looked silly having the white makeup over his mustache.
I'm not a fan of Barry Keoghan's, messed up face that I saw at the end, but I will say this, since you're a DC guy, I think the Batman is the best Batman of all of them. And people have said you're nuts, because I worked on Batman the animated series, and I will say Ben Affleck is kind of closest to that Batman. Ben Affleck, I don't like him as a person, but and I know this is a Boston-based show, so I'm just kidding. But he
wow, we just lost a lot of viewers.
He nailed no. Dunkin' Donuts people are like, forget this Boston. What a dickhead. No, he really nailed Bruce Wayne more than anybody, because Bruce Wayne is a jerk. Bruce Wayne wouldn't give me the time of day. And so he nailed that. Nobody yet has done that. I mean, Michael Keaton didn't do it. Val Kilmer was like, thought he was Jim Morrison. Clooney's the worst, you know. I mean,
Tell me why you don't like Ben.
why I don't like him. It's not that I don't like him. He's number 2 on my list. I do like him. Why don't I like him as a person?
Yeah.
Why don't I like him as a person? Oh, because he's involved in sex trafficking and child. Dude, he's deep in it. Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez and all that, they are deep in the Epstein world. His brother Casey Affleck, they've both been to Epstein's Island many times. How Matt Damon has, you know, had a career where he keeps that at arm's length, I don't know. But Ben Affleck is a despicable human being, in my opinion. Now, having said all that, he was really good at Batman for the most part. but I think Robert Pattinson nailed it as Vengeance. Oh my God, he was just so, like, I really liked his portrayal of Batman.
Did you?
So I want to segue here.
Go ahead.
I want to segue here because we're talking about comic books, which is great because I love talking about comic books. But there's one comic that we haven't talked about yet that we really, really need to talk about.
Which is what? Mine? This one right here, the Legend of Mean Green. Yeah, and if anybody knows, Mean Green is a legend. He passed away and sadly in 2022. He, you know, the Boston-based magazine Greenleaf magazine was planning on putting me on the cover in 2022. I was so excited. I didn't even, more than High Times or like what, I wanted to be on the cover of a New England magazine that really represented, you know, my roots. And so my friend Darren passed away. Mean Green, who was a legendary hip hop artist and started the Los Angeles turf market, a real legend. He passed away. We hung out with him about 3 weeks before he passed away, but he died of cancer, and he didn't tell anybody he had cancer, so it was really tough. But Brett Cogill, the editor of Greenleaf, decided to put Darren on the cover, Mean Green on the cover, and did a side story of me, which, you know, obviously I couldn't get upset at. This is my friend who just died. So I felt like it, you know, I missed an opportunity, but also it was like, you know, it couldn't be helped. So then 2 years ago when Brett put me on the cover of Greenleaf magazine, I was so delighted. So I mean, yeah, Darren and, you know, Darren Johnson, Mean Green, means a lot to us, man. It's weird that we did a comic book after he died, because we would have done one when he was alive, but we do keep his spirit alive. And even his mother contacted us and said, you know, this is wonderful, and Darren would have loved this. And it's neat because we've been able to turn him into a Spectre superhero, a Phantom superhero. He lives beyond in the, you know, he in that realm between life and death, and we've been able to utilize that very well in the comic book. And this next issue is very exciting because we bring back the character from our very first issue, Super Stoners #1, the villain known as Dick Weed returns. Dick Weed is he's a multi-millionaire, just a total jerk that uses his money like a miser and he's a spoiled brat. And then on the other hand, a new character we have called Dopester, and Dopester is inspired by Zoltar, pardon me, the soothsayer, and a Dopester, which you probably know, Jeffrey, is somebody that predicts the outcome of sporting events and or political events. So what a great name, Dopester, for this guy that he sees the future. And
speaking of great names, one more little piece of comic book trivia. You mentioned the Spectre. Do you remember who created the Spectre?
Was it Jerry Conway? Jerry Conway?
No, the
No.
original Spectre was created by Jerry Siegel, the same guy who created
By Jerry Siegel. Oh, how wonderful. Yeah. Well, people don't realize how that they created quite a few characters more than Superman,
Right.
And yeah, I love all those guys. And I've got to meet some of those great guys. I got to spend some time with Neil Adams a little bit. He was much friendlier than people said.
Yeah, I was wondering about. I've always heard all of this stuff from people negatively about Neil socially. I didn't find it that way, and I don't know. All right, good. We agree.
He was pretty serious, but he wasn't. Jim Shooter was a really great guy. Jim Shooter. I did a comic book signing at Mile High Comics in Denver, which was already a thrill. But Jim, when you're a signer, you can go up and talk to anybody, as you know, Ben. The barrier of fanboy is broken, so I can go walk up and because they go, oh, you're just like you got a table too. You're a signer, so they don't look at you the same. Like Lou Ferrigno, I could say, hey, I worked on the Hulk with you, and he was like, oh wow, like I didn't have to give him $50 to do that. So Jim Shooter, when he found out that my comic books were cannabis themed, he really liked them, and he said, let me tell you, he said back in the day in the early 80s, High Times and Marvel were very close to each other, like in proximity. He goes, and a lot of the High Times guys were comic book nerds, and a lot of the Marvel guys were big stoners. He goes, we would have parties over at High Times and little parties over at Marvel. And he goes, we had a kind of a little mutual love affair, like with High Times. And I was like, who would think that? So Ben, guys like you and I, like we're just falling into place in this natural, thing. And,
pretty much.
Jim Shooter was amazing because for those of you who don't know who he was, he started off as a fanboy at DC Comics. And he sent Mort Weisinger entire homemade comic books using the characters that Mort edited, and Mort hired him. His very first comic book, he created Princess Projectra and Firo Lad and Karate Kid, and he was 14 years old and used the money he made at DC Comics to help support his family. Eventually, he ended up running Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
Just the man was just absolute genius.
Larger than life guy too. He's like 6'5" or something like that. And I've been so fortunate to not only meet but become friends with some pretty notable people. I met Ray Bradbury in 1996, and then about 6 years later, I come walking up and he remembers me completely. And I mean, I became friends with George Clayton Johnson, who co-wrote Logan's Run and some of the best Twilight Zone and Kung Fu and Star Trek episodes. And, so if I meet people like that, I kind of, gravitate toward them and don't let them go. I've been friends with Jeff Dowd, the real dude, from The Big Lebowski for many, many years. And
but you got to take a bow for this, because that so many people react to you that way. Your intellect and your talent must speak to them.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate that. And it's like my time with Rich Little 2 weeks ago, hanging out with him. I just saw him like 3 days ago, but when he brought me up to do impressions, it's like that was so not only generous of him, but he saw the bigger picture. Like this, he saw through my veneer and saw that I'm a talented person, and he wants to exploit that and in a way that benefits me, because the neat thing too is I explained to him, because I'm a real rocker guy. I dress like a rocker and always have been. No. And so the funny thing is, like, I explained to him right now, Alice Cooper and Chris Angel are doing something together. Mm-hmm. And I said, Rich, think of me as Chris Angel and you as Alice Cooper. Like like I'm in a way, like nobody else is bringing rock and roll to impressionism, and impressionism has become very popular again. really popular, but no one's bringing rock and roll to it the way I do. And the neat thing is that's what Chris Angel did with Magic, you know?
I laughed so hard only because thinking of Rich as Alice Cooper, and Rich is so politically conservative.
Oh,
it's just the whole idea of that is very funny.
His show is edgier than you'd think. I mean, he had a great pot joke in his act. He does when he does Ronald Reagan. He does. He has a reporter ask him a question. Mr. President, is it true that you're considering legalizing marijuana? And he said, well, that is true. In fact, next week, we're going to meet in a joint session. Look at that. He had a pot joke. I love it. So, so I, man, working with these guys, like, when I met Murray Langston, the Unknown Comic, with Vic Dunlop, I'm driving home with Vic, and Vic goes, "You made us laugh." And I go, "Oh, really?" And he goes, "Nobody makes us laugh. We're legends. We're old school. You made us laugh." He goes, Do you realize that that's not easy? We don't think anybody's funny.
Well, they sit around, a bunch of comics get together and they talk, and someone will say something funny and they'll go, "Yeah, that's funny. Yeah."
Uh-huh.
But they don't laugh.
They don't. No, they don't. And that's a very excellent point, Jeffrey, because the thing is, when you do open mics, if you're up there and people are laughing at you like crazy, they're actually making fun of you, because if the comedians are watching you, they're going, "Shit, that's a good joke. God, I hate that guy. Damn it." They don't want to give it up.
A very quick show business, less than a minute. Kay Ballard, Broadway star, came to television in the late 60s on The Mothers-in-Law with Eve Arden, which was produced and directed by Desi Arnaz. So Lucille Ball had Eve and Kay and Desi and the rest of the cast to her home to screen the first episode, along with Milton Berle and Jack Benny and other people they knew really well. And Kay said she was horrified. They watched the entire show. There wasn't a laugh, a snicker, a smile. All she got was, "That was clever. Oh, that was fun. Oh, you moved too fast." All she got was commentary. But she thought the show was terrible until Lucille pulled her aside and said, "Honey, this is how they are. They liked your show, or they wouldn't have commented at all on it."
100%. They're so serious. Yeah. And I mean, I've been so fortunate. I've worked with so many greats, and so far I haven't let anybody down, or they'd let you know. That's what's great about comedy, is if it doesn't work out, they show you the door pretty quick. They're like, you know what, this maybe isn't for you. I mean, the biggest break I got really changed my career in 2007. I'd only been doing comedy for 4 years, and I was by no means ready to be a headliner, but Garrett Morris from Saturday Night Live made me a headliner at his comedy club, and he believed in me, and that kind of stuff just kept, one thing led to another, and I mean, by me kind of focusing on these old school people more than who's young and hip and who's happening now, because all the comics that are famous right now came up with me, and they're much more famous than me, but I was there when Tony Hinchcliffe was a doorman. I was there when Theo Vaughn was first starting, and I did shows with Joe Rogan, and if you would have told me Tom Segura would be famous, I would have said, no way. I used to work at a reality show with him. So it's neat. And what's crazy too, on the other end, Jeffrey, you'll get this because you're a comedian. People are shocked that they're like, wow, you're still around. I've been doing this for 23 years. So I just headlined the Ice House Comedy Club, which was a huge, career achievement for me because I started out there. So the headline was a big deal. My friend Craig Robinson came to visit me, and I used to see Craig, in the trenches when there'd be 11 people at his show. So he came by to just wish me luck and to tell me, that he's still thinking of me. That meant the world to me. So, and I hadn't seen him in years. So that's what kind of thing comedy does. You get to,
Did you
Right.
did
You
you
know.
ever have an evening
there, little
or
girl.
a show? Isn't she beautiful?
yes.
Just beautiful.
Yeah, right there. Wave. Say hi. So we
Hi,
we have the amazing 420 comic on the show tonight, folks. And one of my superstars, my granddaughter Lila, said, No, I want to say hi. I said, Come on down. She put the earbud
course.
in her ear herself. 3.5.
Hi.
Put the earbud in so she could come say hello.
Lila, you're
I
looking
love it.
very pretty. You're looking very pretty.
Can you say thank you?
Thank you.
You're welcome, sweetie pie.
You got a cool grandpa. I could tell.
Am I a cool nano? Yeah. All right.
And I think
See you
she's
there?
got talent. I think we're going to be seeing
Yeah.
her performing sooner
I
than
know.
Oh,
later.
that's great.
Ti amo
Well, that's
mucho.
great. Well, you know, I'm very fortunate. I've really enjoyed doing comedy and making comic books.
Did you? I was starting to ask you before Lila joined us. Have
Okay.
you ever had an evening working in front of an audience where, for whatever reason, you flopped?
Oh, my
Did you ever
pink
have an evening where just it didn't work?
Oh yeah, and if you say you didn't, then you really haven't been doing comedy very long. And sometimes it happens in the oddest of circumstances. I was doing an event for Los Angeles Normal, okay, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, at the famous cannabis defense attorney Bruce Margolin's place, you know, and it was like this was the cannabis movement of the West Coast there, right? And they had just been talking ad nauseum about legalization and stuff. And I would do events where Jack Hare would say, okay, we've talked enough about legal stuff. Jeffrey, go be funny. And then they would tell me to go be funny. And I was like a court jester. Most of the time it would work. Most of the time I'd go up and da-da-da-da-da. And I would just like, you know, turn everything around into people laughing now. Well, this time they were still so serious thinking about, you know, reform laws and this and that. They were not in the mood for somebody, you know, making fun of pot and the way I do. So I bombed hard. Nobody was laughing. My friend Lou Dog from the band Cottonmouth Kings turned to me and goes, dude, you're bombing. I go, I know. But it's been worse before. I did the Million Marijuana March in Lambert Park in South Central Los Angeles. And I'm on stage in the middle of the day and there's a bunch of black people, you know, watching me and they're going, do you know where you're at? And I go, yeah, I know where I'm at. I grew up right down the street. I said, you remember that one white family that wouldn't move out of your neighborhood? Hi, I'm Jeff. And so at the end, I won them over. You know, it's like, you just got to believe in what you do. And the biggest thing you got to do is have fun. You got to really enjoy what you're doing. If you don't, if you know, I can laugh off an audience not enjoying me. I could be like, what's your problem? Because I'll even mess with them. I'll be like, obviously these jokes are too good for you people or something, you know? So, but yeah, I mean, I'm swimming with the big fish out here. I you know, performing in Las Vegas has always been kind of a dream. And now that I'm in the latter part of my career, this is where I want to be. I'm not really into touring and all that. If the situation is right, I'll go, but I love doing comedy here and being back in my bed with my bong and my dog next to me by 11 p.m.
Well, you brought up a good point. You've had this wonderful career. You're still having it. But these days, you got a lot of fans out there. And then today, because of our large audience, more fans. Where can people go to see you perform and buy your products? Where can they get their fill of Jeffrey Peterson?
Well, thanks for asking. Check your local comic book store and see if they carry our stuff. And if they don't, they will, because we do. I just made a pilgrimage to the Secret Stash in New Jersey, so I'm super excited that Jay and Silent Bob will be carrying our stuff. So you can find me on the social networks, Instagram and Facebook, and it's easy to just look up the 420 comic and I'll come up. And I also have a YouTube page. But as far as seeing me live, in general, I will have a residency out here in Las Vegas fairly soon. I've had some great residencies out here. I was the first comedian to have a residency at a dispensary at Planet 13. I had a residency for 2.5 months. And then I had one at the Nerd Bar on Fremont Street. And on Fremont Street, they had my billboard every 3 minutes with a big pot leaf behind me. So little by little, I'm integrating cannabis comedy into Las Vegas. And it's only a matter of time before my show, Impression Impossible, finds its residency home. But in the meantime,
let me know. I'll come up and see you.
Great, and Jeffrey, I'll make a trip to Palm Springs. That's a no-brainer. But
yeah,
but Ben, man, to you and Jeff, man, so great proud of you guys. And I've always thought of someday doing a crossover with you guys somehow, and that would be great. But we're part of a special genre of a subculture of cannabis themed comic books, and I've told people there's a lot of great people who've been doing this for years. Vern Andrew with Captain Cannabis, Jim Stewart over in Scotland. You guys. We have 37 issues in print, and 2 more ready to go. So to us, it's really about spreading out the word and making what we've done, which has been great. We make people's comic book dreams come true, because the majority of our characters are real people. Most of our characters are based on real people, and we indulge their personalities. And whether it's the hemp father or indica boy or higher education, Mean Green, all these people are real people.
When we did this thing,
yeah, and what's great is I get, working with this author Jared Keene. I can't overstate it how excited I am, because he wrote a really great novel I read called Hammer of the Dogs. That's a post-apocalyptic novel everyone should check out. But I think this is going to bring not only Cali Chronic Comics to a new forefront, but also Jared Keene as an author. So really excited about this. It's got that, he came up with the concept for the cover that I drew, and it's got that traditional pulp, kind of, barbaric cover that we always loved,
Right.
So, but great to meet you, Jeffrey. And
you draw great eyes, by the way.
Thank you. I try to make them as muscular as they're supposed to be. It was hilarious because I never want to be Rob Liefeld. I saw Harlan Ellison talking about how there's artists out there that don't even know anatomy, and he goes, "I'll just say it, Rob Liefeld." He goes, "Son, you need to take an anatomy class." And I'm just like, oh God, I love the way Harlan Ellison would say anything he wanted to. So
not just a brilliant writer, but a brilliant comedy mind of his own.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, I love his writing style is so brave. There's no filter. I mean, I wish Mark Twain could have read some Harlan Ellison. He would have went, yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So we are way over time tonight, folks, but it's okay because we have an amazing guest. We've been on vacation for 3 weeks, so going a little over time tonight. Look at that! Hey, we got another star on the show. Hey, Bandit. That's the one making all the noise.
He's going to be in an upcoming comic book called The Game Changer. So when Game Changer comes out, you'll see him. He's the star in the comic book.
Woohoo! We got to get his paw print.
Yeah. Well, guys, this was great. we'll keep on toking and smoking, and this we'll have to continue these conversations at another time. But Jeffrey, we're going to exchange information and hang out.
Absolutely. We should chat later in the year about having you back on New Year's Eve for a 15-minute update. I
would love it, and I'm still planning on
do 15 minutes of stand up for us.
I would love to, and I'm still planning on a cannabis themed comic book convention out here. That we did one in Denver called Chromicon, but I want to do one with mainly these indie comics that we discussed, like, all of us.
Yeah.
Let's join forces and really show people what a strong, genre we are. So.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree.
And that's how I look at it. I think I'm part of a group of people, not just an island. So thanks to you guys, it's become a thing. So you guys, folks, I'll see you soon. Signing off from fabulous Las Vegas. I'm gonna go take my dogs out to the heat. But Jeffrey, I'll connect with you in Palm Springs sometime.
Please do.
All right, guys.
So normally at this time, Ben would be asking how you want your fans to contact you, but you've already told them.
Yeah. And what I was gonna say, folks, is if you missed it, check the show notes up above or down below. All the 420 Comics information is there. Like his Facebook, his YouTube, it's there, man. You can just go follow him. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and I just did it. I just did a show last week for NBC called Insomniac TV, Insomniac Television. You can find me on there doing celebrity impressions and stuff. But just look it up on YouTube, Insomniac Television.
There you go, folks. So, Mr. Mark.
Yes, sir.
Where can they find you?
Well, I've got to do 10 seconds of this. Marijuana is great for 90% of the people who use it. It can help with disease. It can help bring out your creativity. It can help you to sleep. It helps with pain relief. But 10% of us get addicted to it. If you're one of those people who needs help, please look up marijuanaanonymous.org. There is help everywhere in the world for that. Or contact me personally. I'll be happy to help you. And you can get me on Facebook, Jeffrey Mark, as it's spelled below me here. For those of you who are listening, GeoffreyMark on Facebook, Jeffrey Mark Showbiz on Instagram. I answer everybody. And hey, Ben and I have another program we do. It's not a talk show. It is about music. GPE, Jeffrey Mark Plays Ella. Every week, I play the music of the great Ella Fitzgerald on a theme and then give you insider stories about the music and the songs and Ella. Ben produces it. I am the host, and I think you'll have a good time. So that's my info. Ben.
So you can see everything you want to see about us on the website, stilltoking.com. Toking with the Dead on Facebook. Still Toking Productions everywhere else, YouTube and everything. We want to thank Mr. Peterson for hanging out with us this evening, bringing us up to date on all his killer shit. If you're in Vegas, look him up.
Yeah,
go see him.
You'll have a good time.
He is funny as fuck. He is. Trust me.
Thank you so much, man. Well, I appreciate you guys.
To all our veterans and first responders, we want to thank you for doing what you do so people like us can come up here and do what we do.
Yes.
Stay safe. We'll see you next week.
God bless and have a happy.